So that shows you the data is skewed, correct?
Yes.
You know that. You know that.
Now listen, I've got to show y'all
I'm
this.
bringing you Joseph Holloway. He is the author of Black Slave Owners.
I've got to show y'all this. This is live right now or premiering, but I'm gonna back up so you can hear as much as I have. I'm not gonna give you too much, but yeah, let's go.
Ode to you. I've run off some numbers. I've cited, economist William Darity, people who spoke about this, done the research on it. Black slavery built America. Black Americans in slavery, we built America. We built the economy, pick and cotton and allow it to be. So the free labor built America. It happened for, centuries, and, we got nothing for it. So it's owed to us. Everyone has gotten their just due. Native Americans, the Japanese who were in internment camps, people who had family members who were victims of 9/11. We even pay reparations to people who weren't the victims themselves. We gave Native American trust settlements to people today who they weren't alive. They're descendants of the Native Americans who experienced it. So it's only right that we get what's owed to Black Americans, especially if you follow a set criteria. That's not, just saying you're looking for a free handout. It's owed to you. But, people, you said yourself you don't believe in equity, so I don't expect you to get it. You don't believe in fairness. Black people in America, we've been running a marathon, and everyone else has been starting at mile 20. We had to start at mile 0, and then people ahead of us, they don't want us to catch up, so they don't want us to get our reparations. You're one of those people, so I understand it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Shake hands, and let's move on.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end, guys. Please hit like and subscribe. It helps us grow the show and helps us get bigger guests. Thank you so much.
So are you familiar with who Andre Dufarme is?
No.
Okay, so he was a black slave master back in the 1860s in a slave plantation by the name of St. Gufrey. Now, he actually owned several slaves in the dozens, over 77 slaves. Now, you mentioned before that white people receive reparation, the white slave masters. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what is your definition of reparation that the white people received?
They got money.
Is that it? The details.
They got money. And they got money and land back. At one point, They had lost land and they got it back.
Okay. So what you're referring to is called the compensation emancipation, which means if someone owned slaves at that time, if you're in a specific area, there's a small amount of the slave masters, and in particular, Andre DeFord is actually one of the beneficiaries of it. So that means that you get $300 for every slave you release, every slave you let free. Now, that was put into play. So that was a promise that was signed by Abraham Lincoln in 1862 for them to receive that quote-unquote reparation. Okay? That was taken away. Like, are you familiar with the constitutional block of 1866?
The constitutional block of 1866?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so basically they put a block on the 14th Amendment, which means you are not allowed to receive reparation for any slaves that you free. So they put a block on it, which is exactly the same thing that Andrew Johnson did when Abraham Lincoln actually did give black people reparation. He took it away. They took it away from the white people. So you don't believe that the white people deserve reparation, even though they were promised it, but the black people deserve reparation?
I don't think you deserve anything for owning slaves and doing the right thing and letting them go. So that's a logical fallacy unless you believe black people deserve to be in slavery in the first place. Do you?
No, of course not.
So that's not a form of reparations.
Black people were the only one that was slaves. I bring up this point because
In
one,
America they were.
because no, there were actually Indian slaves and there were some white slaves in Texas too.
Name one white slave in American history.
I can't name them, but you can't.
Okay then.
Can you? Do you know who Andrew Johnson is? I mean, Andrew Johnson is. Anthony Johnson is.
It's Anthony Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes, I know who he was.
Okay. Who is he?
Anthony Johnson was a man who came to America as an indentured servant. After he worked off his indentured servitude, he was set free. He ended up going to court because he had 3 people in his custody. All 3 of them were supposed to be indentured servants. He went to court. He won the right to keep one of them for a lifetime. That's Anthony Johnson.
Yeah. So 1661, the court case actually got passed. That's the reason why he's the first legal slave master in the country.
No, he was
You know,
not.
Yes, he was. On
No,
paper, he
he's
was the
not.
first legal slave
No,
master.
Hugh Gwynn was the first
no,
legal.
no.
Hugh Gwynn, fact check
Not-
it.
please-
Hugh Gwynn
please
was a
fact
white
check
slave owner. Was a slave owner who went to court and did the same thing before him. Hugh Gwynn was a slave owner, a white guy before Anthony Johnson.
Please fact check this.
Yeah,
Should we wait?
Pop up.
Hugh Gwynn.
It's going to take a little bit,
Okay.
but go ahead
Okay.
and move on until then.
All right, so consider the fact that there were about 37 to 4,000 black slave masters that owned tens of thousands of slaves back in the day. Okay, so what is the criteria who's going to receive this reparation?
So the people who are going to receive the reparations are the people who are descendants of slaves in America, not the people who own slaves. Also, when we're talking about black slave owners, are you familiar with Joseph Holloway?
Sounds familiar.
Are you familiar with the statistics on black slave owners? Are you familiar? Do you understand the fact that the majority of the people that they call black slave owners were mulattoes and they were white, they were mixed? Are you familiar with the fact that a lot of the people that they call black slave owners were buying back family members
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
they were counted as slave owners?
Yes, that's still still definition of slave owners.
So you understand, if I'm buying my brother's freedom and then I'm counted as a slave owner, do you think that's fair?
Okay, I'll give you that. I'm going to have to look more into that. I will give you that right there.
So you would.
I haven't heard that statistic about most of the black people that were slave masters back then were actually considered white. I've never heard that before, and it's hard for me to believe. You said they were considered something else.
Mulattoes.
Mulattoes, yes. Okay, mix.
So if my father was a white slave owner, but my mother was black, and then I get freedom, and then I inherit my white father's slaves, now I'm counted as a black slave owner, even though I'm mixed. Do you think that's fair?
No, I
Do you
don't.
think that's credible?
No, I'm actually agreeing with you on this.
So that skews.
If this is the case, I'm agreeing with
So
you on
that
this.
skews data on black slave owners, correct?
Well, yes, but
Okay,
that,
then.
but does not defeat the fact that there were a large majority of about 4,000 black slave masters back then.
And how many of them were mulattoes?
Okay, but it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
But were there black
Time
slave
out.
masters?
No,
Because we're
no,
talking about
no,
the 40 million
no,
number.
'cause you just said it doesn't matter. It does matter. If someone had a white father and a black mother, or a black father and a white mother, and then they're just counted as black to feed a narrative, that matters, correct?
Yes, it does.
You just said it doesn't matter. Why'd you say that?
I don't recall me saying it doesn't matter, but
Everyone
but-
heard you.
but-
You
but
said
it-
there were 4,000 black slave
Yes,
owners.
yes.
And I said, how many of them were mulattoes? You said, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Does it matter when you're saying 4,000?
How many were mulattoes? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, you brought up the data. You brought up 4,000. I'm bringing you Joseph Holloway. He is the author of Black Slave Owners. There's also another person, Michael Johnson, he wrote a book called Black Slave Masters, which talks about what I'm talking about right now, how they strategically would separate the black community. And this is how we get the whole light skin versus dark skin thing.
Let me explain for y'all that don't know what he's talking about. Basically, back in the day, slavery is when the slave owner would have kids with black or rape them, whatever the case, they would have kids with the black slaves, right? Then the blacks, then the mixed race kids were born, obviously. So the mixed race was then looked at the coon, the house nigger. You had the house nigger and you had the field nigger. The field nigger was the slave outside doing all the work. The house nigger was the one bringing teas and cups of teas and going, yes, sir, master. Things like that. But anyway, right, so they had them kind of positions a lot. Or they weren't, they weren't slaves at all. But at certain points, right, what they're trying to say is that it was mixed race people, that was down as black slave owners that brought black people out of Fingerbob. That's what he's trying to say. And my man's trying to say, no, that's not, you can't put that in the same category as black people owning black slaves because they are not black. All right. So basically he's saying mixed race people ain't black. The slave master produced with black people through rape and whatever else, they was not black. But yet you're saying that black people own slaves. So now they're doing a number. How many of them was actually black though? And like he also just said, he said there were family members that could see their brother or sister as a slave, so they would opt to buy them out of slavery. And because they brought them out of slavery, now they've put down on paper that a black slave owner has just brought a slave, so they put that down on file. But really, they just brought their brother or sister out of slavery, #prison. That's all they did. And they had to put that on paperwork as a slave owner because it just helped out this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, all these huffs and puffs and hiccups and false, you know, this is the Matrix.
They also were separated by gender. They would purposely make a large portion of the slave masters female. I could read that off you too. A lot of them.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Black women represented 68% of head of households in the North and 70% of slaveholding heads of colored households in the South. This is from Joseph E. Holloway, The Black Slave Owners.
Okay, all right. So
it's a part of their systemic racism. It's a part of the.
And that makes sense because if they would do it to let the men buy them all the time, they would think, you know, they know that's the wrong idea because they don't want black people to fight back. So obviously they're going to let the women do it, right? And then obviously give them rules to keep black people out of the household, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Probably can only have them as slaves and stuff like that, man. I can imagine it, you know. I can actually imagine what it would have been like.
Getting the black community to fight against each other. They're doing exactly what they're doing right now with feeding these false narratives. You coming in here thinking that there were 4,000 black slave owners without realizing it was systemic, and a lot of them were mixed, and a lot of them had a black dad, and there were women who were overseeing a bunch of men.
okay, so what I'm going off of, are you familiar with Rod Wilson? Did you read his book when it comes down to when he's talking about who are actually the black slave masters? He went through an entire list of the black slave masters. You can look into this thing. So when it comes down to models, I don't know the data on that. But what I will say is that in comparison to all the mixes of race of black people, 37 to 4,000 black people, depending on the color, depending on what they're mixed with.
Excuse me?
There are 3,700 to 4,000 black slave masters.
3,700 to 4,000.
3,700 to 4,000. Okay, and he said
in total.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
He said based on if they're mixed race, based on everything. So it's in between 3,700 to 4,000.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're saying in total,
yes,
including the mixed race ones.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that the majority of them were fully black. That's what he put out in his book.
Prove that.
Prove it.
Okay.
Bring it up. Rod Wilson.
The majority of them were fully black.
Of them were fully
So
black.
you're saying out of 4,000, more than 2,000 were fully black?
Yes.
I disagree, because Joseph Holloway and Michael Johnson go against that.
All right. Well, so does Anthony Johnson and Andre DeFarm.
Anthony Johnson, the one who came over here and wasn't free himself.
I just say Andre DeFarm too.
They go against. All right, they were fully black. They were black slave owners. There were some fully black slave owners.
Yeah, there was some black slave owners.
My argument is that the majority of them were not fully black. It was part of systemic racism to pin black people against each other and have black people overseeing other black people, and also black people who bought the freedom of their own.
Don't that make sense? And look how many black people overstand black people today and think they're bigger. Look at some black people in the police force. Yeah. Look at the movies like Black Keys on the Piano. I hate your black pepper. I hate black. You know what I'm trying to say? What's that movie called? Don't Be a Menace, I think. I hate Black Keys on the Piano. I hate Whoopi Goldberg's lips. I hate, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, shit like that, man. When black, listen, there's bear coons out of there. Look at, what's that woman in America? I was going to say Whoopi Goldberg, not her though. Oprah Winfrey, shit like that. You know, they're out there, man.
Freedom of their own family members were counted as slave owners. Mm-hmm. So that shows you the data is skewed, correct?
Yes.
You know that. You know that.
No, I'm giving you that.
But you know that.
Yes.
So then you know by that data the number isn't as high as they're saying.
Okay, let's just say 2,000.
Wait.
No. I'm agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing.
No,
with
I want
you.
to make sure.
I didn't think about the
for the audience. I want to make sure we get this question clear.
This is what I'm saying.
You agree that the number on black slave owners is skewed and it's less than they say, correct?
Yes, it's between 3,700 to 4,000 based on any type of black they have in them. That's what I'm saying when it comes down to Rod Wilson. Between 3,700 and 4,000 with any black in them. So that means if it's 3,700... Wait, hold on.
I don't even believe that they would let so many black people have that power kind of thing. Because, you know, at the same time, the white man's always got the back of their mind that these guys are going to get together, rise back up and take back over. You know. And if there's 37 whatever black owners, then how many white owners was there? Huh? That's the question.
Who bought their family
Wait,
members'
wait,
freedom?
wait, wait.
Just let me
Let him
finish.
at least finish his
He's
thought.
basing it on like he just said fully black, based on if you're fully black or not. This is everybody that's between the 3,700 to 4,000 range. You making it seem like that I'm talking about 97% of them were mulattoes and only 3% were fully black. What I'm saying is that the data that he brought up, super intellectual person, he is saying that in between 3,700 and 4,000 black slave masters, that's some sort of black. Either that's a mulatto, either that's a mixed person, but they have black in them. So see, 3,700 probably black, but the remainder.
But that's like 3,500,000. You know what I'm trying to say? 3,500 black owners that was trying to help black people get out of slavery.
Probably mulattoes. All I'm saying is he included everybody in that list.
Thank you. That hurts your point because
How?
that's including people who had a white father
I just
as
covered
a
that.
slave master. That's why it hurts your point.
No,
I'm
no.
explaining why it hurts your point. That's including people who had a white father as a slave master and they inherited their father's slave owners. That's including people who were black and bought the freedom of their family members and now being counted as a slave owner. I'm not a slave owner, but I had to
Right. Because if the father's black and he has like a son or whatever, and then she's a slave over, then technically still in the which are you casting that? Like that makes sense. That does make sense. Is it still white or is it black? Like what are you looking at? Is it white or black? How you looking at it now? Is it white or black? Who's the lead? Who's it following from? Who's investing? Who helped build the plantation for that person to bring in slaves? How do you know it hasn't just come back into the slave category, the white category controlled? How do you know?
go through the process of legally obtaining my family member. So if I bought my freedom and now I have the money to go acquire my brother and I purchase him, I'm a slave owner? That's just ridiculous.
I'm not denying that fact that you're trying to say.
No, I'm just
What
saying
I'm
that
saying
in that number you
No, no.
brought up includes all of that.
No, yeah, exactly. That's no.
Well, we're going to stop that there. I promise you, when the video, because this is actually live right now, once it's all out, I download the whole thing and put it on wherever it needs to go for y'all to see it. And yeah, man, I've only seen as much as we've just seen. You know, I've seen a bit more actually now, like, you know, with you. But yeah, let's go. I'll bless you. I'll catch you later.